Thank you, Mickey, so much. Hi, everybody. My name is Ali. I'm a grateful alcoholic. Thank you once again to the amazing team that the Spirit has gathered around me for us to put this thing together. And as always, thank you to you guys for freeing up your Saturday mornings, afternoons, or evenings, depending where you are, to be with us on this beautiful journey, of trying to be better servants to God's other kids. I have I have recovered and been given the power to help others, and I take that very seriously. Um, I take that very humbly and seriously. I truly think that before I go on, I should ask somebody to do the set-aside prayer. I really think that. Okay, anybody move to? There we go. Barb, come on up, please. Somebody unmute Barb, please.
We're trying. Barb, there should be the host would like you to unmute on your screen somewhere.
Here we go. Barb alcoholic. God, help me to set aside everything that I think I know about you, everything that I think I know about myself and others, and everything that I think I know about the 12 steps of recovery. Also, that I can have a new experience with you, God, a new experience with myself and others, and a new experience in my recovery. Help me to see the truth.
Oh man, thank you very much, Barb. Thank you very much. Recordings, as Trish said, so the decision has been made by Spirit, because we couldn't finish what we wanted to finish in the 12 weeks. There's going to be 3 more weeks today and 2 more weeks, and then right at the end we're going to release the entire folder to everybody if you've missed anything. So we're going to do that. Kristen, would you kindly close the chat for everybody except to host and co-host, and just put my phone number in the chat if you don't mind, for a little while, because I don't want it to get to get drowned out. If you guys ever need anything, please don't hesitate to WhatsApp me, text me, call me, and depending on the urgency of it, I'll get back to you as soon as I can. But I will get back to you, I promise. If there's anything regarding this workshop or passing it on, or anything that I can share my experience with, it will be an honor for me. In the spirit of this workshop, please understand that no one's ever bothering me. It's an honor. It's a gift when somebody calls me. That's God calling. I've been given a life beyond anything that I could have imagined. As I hear it in the room sometimes, I've been overpaid, right? And never doing anyone a favor. If I speak somewhere, if I sponsor somebody, if I do one of these things, you're doing me a favor, because I get to show up for my recovery. I want that to be very, very clear, okay? So just don't ever think you're bothering me, you're not. But if I don't get back to you right away, don't be upset. I will get back to you. We were talking before the meeting, a little gathering. Mickey was talking about how some people's assignments are to hold a flashlight, some people hold the spotlight, and what came up for me is very interesting conversation. What came up for me is that it is all from the same light, it is all from the sunlight, whether somebody's assignment to hold a pin light or a flashlight or a spotlight, or become the light, or be in the darkness for a while to attract the light, whatever it is, it's all very sacred, I don't ever think anyone's better than anyone else on this path. It's just, what's my assignment, God? When I bring to whatever's happening in life, that attitude, that prayer, that desire, what's my assignment, God? Can you use me, God? Right? It just becomes an incredible experience, this path. That's why it's a path of meaning and purpose. That's why I believe a workshop like this, even though it's the first one I've ever done with, any workshop that the intention of the workshop is to make me a better messenger, so I can pass this on to someone else so they can be a better messenger. That's what Alcoholics Anonymous is all about. I believe so. And I hear you, some kind friends that have messaged me and expressed to me sometimes after the meeting that they get so much out of it when I share my experience, or I move to unpack something, and I hear you and I'm with you on that one. I'm just gonna ask you to please set that aside and look at it from a different angle. I believe that although it seems like, absolutely, you got to put some experience and meat and potatoes on this thing, right? But I believe that it's been my experience that although it seems like when somebody really unpacks a paragraph, to a very deep level, it seems like, man, it's just amazing. I'm inspired. Me personally, if that's all I've been doing, I seem to leave that workshop, leave that meeting soon after empty and hungry again. Right? If that inspiration from what I hear leads me, opens up a little bit of a like changes my trajectory, inspires me to take some actions that are different, in the pursuit of helping others, beautiful, right? But it's been my experience that this workshop's benefits and the depth of experience of a relationship with God that's going to come out of a workshop like this will happen down the road, not in this workshop. It will happen as I humbly try to pass this message on to someone else who will be armed so they can pass this message on to someone else in a bit more effective, I hope that came across, It's all valid, but it's just from my experience. So please buckle up. Buckle up. All right, so step 11. Step 11, page 85, bottom step 11. If you please grab the yellow highlighter, step 11 suggests prayer and meditation. Just highlight that in yellow. So the line previous to that, previous paragraph, it ended like most of the big book, like sort of after some actions, there's some promises. And by the way, some version of just keep going. Faith without works is dead. What you've been doing up to now, if that's all you do, your faith is going to die. Right? Keep going. So same thing, the line before it says, but we must go further, and that means more action. In yellow, step 11 suggests prayer and meditation. If you grab the pen, please circle step 11, please circle prayer, please circle meditation. So we highlighted yellow and 3 circles to make them stand out. Notice what it says, prayer and meditation. Okay, prayer and meditation. So I'm not gonna unpack it too much and share too much experience. We just want to go through it. We shouldn't be shy of this matter of prayer. Better men than we are using it constantly. If you grab the pink highlighter, it's a promise. It works if we have the proper attitude and work at it. It works if we have the proper attitude, it's a promise. If I have the proper attitude and just work at it, just show up to it. Show up to the silence, show up to the sacred space. Sit down, show up to the prayer. Show up to a desire to building a relationship with this power. There's only one way to build a relationship with any entity. Time and communication. There's no other way. That's the only way, right? So I got to show up. If you circle in the pink that we highlighted, proper attitude, please. If you circle proper attitude, please. And then from the proper attitude circle, please put a line to the left margin and coming up to the top margin. We're going to write across the top margin now, line and an arrow, right? So this proper attitude, you don't need to go there now, but on page 55, it describes what the proper attitude is in not so many, but we're going to write down a little bit, right? And we've heard it many times in the fellowship as well, right? Proper attitude. So please write honesty, comma, excuse me, honesty, comma, open-mindedness, comma, willingness to search within. Willingness to search within. Honesty, comma, open-mindedness, comma, willingness to search within. Now, while you're writing that, I'm going to go to page 55 and just read to you where we get that from. While you're finishing writing that, I think it was 55. I hope it was 55. Was it 55? Yeah. Okay, there we go. Page 55, third paragraph. It says, we can only clear the ground a bit. If our testimony helps sweep away prejudice, set aside what I think I know, right? Enables you to think honesty. That's the honesty part, right? Encourages you to search diligently within yourself. So that's the willingness to search, right? Honesty, open-mindedness. So, or clear the ground a bit, but set aside prejudice as the open-mindedness. think honesty is the honesty, and search diligently is the willingness to search. And the search is always within. You can join us on the broad highway. And that paragraph ends with this. With this attitude, you cannot fail. Impossible to fail. With this attitude and we showing up, just trying to be a little bit better today than I was yesterday, words can't describe, like they don't do justice, the experiences of peace and joy and presence to the moment that I've had, that we've had in our own way. Right? And it says the consciousness of your belief is sure to come to you. Anyway, so let's go back to page 86. That's the proper attitude. Honesty, comma, open-mindedness, comma, willingness to search within. Okay, no more highlighting. It says, it would be easy to be vague about this matter, yet we believe we can make some definite and valuable suggestions. Okay, so they're going to make some suggestions to us. Now, step 11 is broken up into 3 parts in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. Okay? So when I'm taking the new man is not so new and experienced now because now they're in step 11, right? So I may do the entire step 11 pages in one sitting and then just get them to practice it. And obviously every week I have a call. That's how I sponsor. Every week and a half, depending how new they are, right? Where they are. We have a call. We continue to work on the amends together, continue to have step 10 conversations, and continue to have a conversation how the practice is going, right? So either I do the entire step 11 few pages in one sitting, or I do it bit by bit, depending how I moved, okay? So the first part, it says, when we retire at night, would you circle that in pen? When we retire at night, please circle that in pen. And then if you go to the beginning of the next paragraph, please circle on awakening. That's the second part of step 11. And when I say part, like obviously I don't mean they're compartmentalized and they're separate from each. It's just one movement, but for the sake of sort of introducing it to someone who's new. When we retire at night, circle, on awakening, circle. If you go to the next page, 87, the very last paragraph, please circle the first line as we go through the day. Please circle that. Those are the 3 parts. Step 11 has 3 parts. When we retire at night, on awakening, as I go through the day. Some practices that are suggested to me. Okay? Beautiful. So if you highlight in yellow, please, let's go back to when we retire at night. Highlight in yellow, when we retire at night, we constructively review our day. That's important. That's what we're doing. At night, I get to constructively review my day. So, I mean, I've heard it many times, other people say it, and it's funny, it makes sense. It doesn't say I destructively review my day. I take out a bat and hit myself because I had a bad day, right? And I fumbled and stumbled in life that day. I constructively review my day. Okay, so where were we? No highlighting that. Where were we resentful? Put a question mark after resentful. Please put a question mark after selfish. Please put a question mark after dishonest. Please, there is a question mark after afraid. If you want to put one on top of that, fine. Okay. So I ask myself some certain questions. Do we owe an apology? I ask myself that. Okay. There's a question mark. Put one on top of it if you like. Have we kept something to ourselves which should be discussed with another person at once? Question mark. Were we kind and loving to all? Question mark. What could we have done better? Were we thinking of ourselves most of the time? Or were we thinking of what we could do for others, of what we could pack into the stream of life? Okay, so these questions I ask myself. Now here's a little bit of my experience. So if I have to put my finger on one, if we're going to be like a sort of technical, one aspect of the program that I've been the least consistent with, that I had the most challenge, you could call it, in staying consistent, is this part right here, when I review at night, right? So, and I'm just going to share a little bit with you, not too much what has worked and what hasn't worked, and then just please do whatever the Spirit moves you. I have found that God doesn't make too hard turns, right, Susan? God doesn't make too hard turns, right? I've been okay, and I've been inconsistent at times. It's all good, man. Okay, so So I'm not done. I do that small little notebook, right? Line paper, and I title that notebook Step 11 Review at night. My nightly review, right? I have every single time for a long time, I would literally open the big book because I want to set aside everything that I think I know, and I allow the words to read me. Where was I selfish, resentful, selfish, dishonest, or afraid? And I sit there in contemplation a little bit. Okay, and I'm going to share with you that just blew that out of the water, but I'll share with you a little bit just the way I approach it. But and I will write down, but I would do short forms. Resentful, I put R question mark, S question mark, D question mark, F question mark, apology question mark. I've done that before. Have we kept something to ourselves which should have been discussed with another person at once? I put secret question mark, right? I was the treasurer a while ago at an in-person meeting, and it was a few times it happened. I was just falling behind in certain bills, and I would take a little bit from the treasury money that I had, and I would pay it back the next month. Pay it back the next. I always paid it back, right? But that was something that was a secret that I had to share with my sponsor. Right, and a lot came out of that. I stopped doing that, right? So like those secrets, you know what I mean, or whatever else. I gotta share. I don't have to dance with everybody, but I gotta dance with somebody. That big book says, if I'm to live long and happily in this world, I gotta be transparent with somebody, right? What were we kind of loving to all? That question, I used to. There was a period of time I was a yes, 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 and then something came to me in contemplation. Well, what about thought? What about thought? You've been kind of loving in actions. Beautiful. What about thoughts? Right? But in a constructive way. I will write a couple of names that have been, maybe not kind and loving. What could we have done better? Okay, so whatever that is. Should have called my parents more. Should have answered that newcomer's phone call rather than ignore it because I was tired. I don't know, whatever it is, right? Or were we thinking of ourselves most of the time? Yeah, 50%. Yeah, most of the time today. Right? Or were we thinking of what we could do for others, what we could pack in the stream of life? So on that, when I was writing the questions, I'll put other/stream of life question mark. I'll just make it short form. And I will sit there in contemplation. Okay. So now, this is what I want to share with you that blew this out of the water for me. Okay. So when I was doing that and I was asking myself, it was powerful. And then I heard a spiritual teacher came in my path, and she introduced something slightly different, a different angle, but a whole new world came into view. It might seem like semantics to you. It might seem like it's just small, whatever, but I'm telling you, it was drastic for me, okay? I stopped asking myself these questions. I started to ask God to show me. God, can you show me where I've been selfish today? And I would search my memory, but Spirit is guiding now. It was powerful for me. Okay, so now some other methods. So I've done the writing for a little while. I would just I would sit in like contemplation, reading contemplation, and just sit. I don't write anything down unless it's an apology. I would just write it down because I don't want to forget the next day. This is just like everything is a message and everyone's a messenger, and this is one way that I communicate and build a relationship with this power. And if this power through the pen, because I'm asking this power to show me through the pen, night after night after night, or puts in my heart night after night after night as I'm doing this review, I'm resentful at Kristen. Guess what? I know, right? GB Little days, Kristen. I don't know what. You know what that is? Maybe you got to write an inventory on this one, Ali. Maybe you got to put pen to paper because that's a message. That's a message. Everything's a message. This is deep, man, right? Okay. So now I'll tell you this. For a period of time, I got an idea that the man that I was sponsoring a few years ago, that what we're going to do together, we're going to text it to each other. That worked for a little bit until it didn't work. Do you know why? Because this instructions is not for me to share with anybody. It's between me and God. I'm not saying if you're doing that, it's working for you. God bless you, keep doing it, right? So what happened with me was my ego started to get in the way. When I was having a few rough days in a row, I didn't want to look as bad in front of the men that I sponsor. It wasn't serving me anymore. So I had to stop doing that. It's between me and God. And then me and my sponsor, if I choose to share something with him, right? If I move to share something with him. Okay. So that's that's all of that. Now, if you highlight in yellow, and the point is not the perfection of it, that I have a desire to be better. These days what I'm doing. So it's been right? These days, I literally sit in prayer a little bit, sit in meditation a little bit, and in contemplation, I'm just asking God to show me what mistakes and missteps I did today. That's what I'm doing today. I'm not actually going through the questions these days. I'm just being honest with you. And it's working right now, right? But I suggest to the new person, I strongly suggest to them, build a habit using this right now. Build a habit using it. You don't have to do it perfectly. Build a habit. And then it will transform to what it needs to be for you. But it's important to have discipline and build the habit in any area of life. Okay, beautiful. Yellow highlight, but we must be careful not to drift into worry, remorse, or morbid reflection, for that would diminish our usefulness to others. That's important. Remember I said constructive, not destructive, right? So I got to be careful not to drift into, as I am doing this, if I've had a rough day and I've not behaved the way I want to behave, right? I got to be careful not to drift into worry about what's going to happen with this, what this person is going to think about me. They're going to talk to me about remorse or morbid reflection. Why? Once again, it doesn't say anything this book about my happiness experience, because that would lessen my usefulness to others. Usefulness. Everything in this path, if I take on that I'm doing it to be useful to God and to my brothers and sisters, what an experience that becomes in this life. And then the spotlight, as Mickey was saying, starts to shine through the spotlight. By the way, the people that we see, that seems like at different times, the spotlight shines through them. They are the light. You know why that is? Yeah, they're seekers, all of us in our own ways, for sure, right? Because the darkness is really dark and terrifying for that person. I'll let you on a little secret. The darkness is really dark. So the light has to be that bright, man. I don't know if that makes sense at all. So that's why if you notice the periods of your lives when there's valleys in life, how much growth there is out of it, because the light has to be really bright to shine through. There's a yin and a yang. Be careful what you wish for. But it's an assignment. If it's an assignment, man, the walls come down. If it's an assignment, there's nothing but bliss. There's nothing but bliss. Okay. So highlight in pink, please. The last line, it is a prayer. After making a review, we ask God's forgiveness and inquire what corrective measures should be taken. That's it. That's a prayer. So after I make my review, I ask God's forgiveness. Okay. So put a question mark after taken. That's a question I ask. God, what corrective measures should I take here, God? Highlight in pink, question mark. That's the last question that I ask. And I ask His forgiveness. Okay. Circle the word forgiveness. Just recently, just a few months ago, I forget the messenger's name. It was a lady. She came to our Step 11 meeting and she shared. And she shared about that forgiveness, what she's asking for. And I was just like, whoa. So I added the notes. That's what I've been doing since then, right? So from forgiveness, put a little line and a little arrow to the left margin. Turn the book clockwise, so the left margin is facing you, and begin writing from the end of that paragraph up to the top of the page. We're going to write maybe 2-3 lines. Okay. So please write this. For thoughts and actions, I'm going to read the whole thing and I'm going to reread it. For thoughts and actions that have caused separation between me and his other kids, therefore between me and God. That blew my mind. I was like, oh, that's what I'm asking forgiveness for. For the separation I've caused between me and your other kids through my thoughts and actions. That's what I'm asking forgiveness. Okay? So for thoughts and actions that have caused separation for thoughts and actions that have caused separation between me and his, capital H, between me and his other kids, comma, for thoughts and actions that have caused separation between me and his other kids, comma, therefore, between me and God, period. Why is resentment the number one offender? Because when I'm resentful, I'm separate from his other kids. And if God is everything, and if he's deep down in every man, woman, and child, then if I'm separate from you, then I'm separate from him. For thoughts and actions that have caused separation between me and his other kids, comma, therefore between me and God. That's what I'm asking for. That's what I've been asking forgiveness. I wasn't sure what I'm asking forgiveness for before. Like, I'm sorry, God, I yelled at that person or I lied. But no, it's a deeper forgiveness I'm asking for. It's not like God is judging me on it. Beautiful. Okay, fantastic. So that was when we retire at night. Okay, when we retire at night. Just a note, okay? Step 11, nightly review, when we retire at night. Not step 10, nightly review. Step 10 is an entire set of actions that I do throughout the day. Very, very important. Okay. Okay, now on awakening, we've circled on awakening. If you please highlight in yellow, on awakening, let us think about the 24 hours ahead. We consider our plans for the day. That's highlighted in yellow. So that's what I'm doing on awakening. Okay. So from on awakening, please put a line to the left margin and somehow, somewhere there, left column, please put period of meditation / contemplation. They're going to introduce me in the big book to a form of meditation, contemplation, deep thought. It's a beautiful form of meditation. So on awakening, that first line that we highlight in yellow, that's the period of meditation / contemplation. So let us think about the 24 hours ahead. We consider our plans for the day. That's what I'm supposed to do, right? So what I do is I take the newcomer through this and I suggest to them, what you do is every morning, open this book up to the best of your ability, read a paragraph or two, and then go back and do exactly what it says. It's so simple. Read and do what it says. So simple, right? Okay, so now what does it say? Before we begin, grab the pink. It's a prayer. Grab the pink, highlight. We ask God to direct our thinking, especially asking that it be divorced from self-pity, dishonest or self-seeking motives. For our big book friends, that this is just like boring to them, you've done this 1,000 times, I ask for your forgiveness. This is for the newcomer that I'm doing, right? It's just, but I believe there's still there may be some gems in what we're doing if we bring a desire to set everything aside that I think I know. You never know. Okay, highlight in pink. We ask God to direct our thinking, especially asking that it be divorced from self-pity, dishonest, self-seeking motives. So literally, that's what I do. When I wake up, well, I'll tell you after, okay? Under these, no more pink. Under these conditions, we can employ our mental faculties with assurance. For after all, God gave us brains to use. No highlight there, eh? Like we could literally highlight everything, but we're not going to because we want to. Notice in the previous steps, the previous directions and instructions and spiritual messages, what was basically suggested and told to me is that my thinking is the problem. My self-will is an issue. I'm way too centered in self and it runs riot and I usually don't think so. It used to tell me that, right? By step 10, it starts to tell me, hold on. You can make proper use of the will, align this line, if you will, if you wish. And step 11, it tells me again over here, God gave us brains to use. Nothing wrong with this, but it's got to be connected to a higher plane. In order to recover, in order to experience this power, I need to transcend the cognitive three-dimensional black and white thinking It's very useful, but I got to use it. But the problem is most of my life, it uses me. I got to use it, right? So God gave us brains to use. Beautiful. If you got the pink highlighter, promise, pink. Our thought life will be placed on a much higher plane when our thinking is clear of wrong motives. That's in pink, it's a promise. Our thought life will be placed on a much higher plane when our thinking is clear of wrong motives. Would you please, after you highlight it, it's a promise, circle thought life, and then circle higher plane. It's in the second line there that we highlighted. Thought life, higher plane. From higher plane, if you could put a line and an arrow either to the right margin, to the left margin, somewhere there, please write from higher plane, circle, please write divine inspiration. Another way to say our thought life will be placed on a higher plane, divine inspiration. Divine inspiration. So literally in the morning when I wake up, so this is my practice these days, right? It could change, but these days. I always had a practice, right? But these days, I literally, when I open my eyes, I start thanking God. I start thanking God. Whatever I can think of, just I start thanking him for this plan, for my sons, for my wife, for this life, for this house. I start thanking for you, right? And then this is you could do it however you want to move to it, right? These days, I'm literally, first I'm feeding Maximus, and I'm going to the bathroom, brushing my teeth, whatever I do, right? And then as I'm brushing my teeth, I'm literally praying. This is the way I'm doing it, right? God, would you please direct my thinking, especially that I be divorced from self-pity, dishonor, self-seeking motives. I say that prayer too, and I just continue to thank him until I get my cup of coffee, until I get go to my sacred space and get some time to sit. From the moment I open my eyes, it's got to be for me like that, you know? It's got to be for me like that. So in thinking about our day, we may face indecisions. So it's a period of premeditation, and it tells me I got to think about the 24 hours ahead, and I got to consider my plans for the day, right? There's many different interpretations of this. I don't think all of them are valid, right? None of us really know what Bill was thinking at the time when he wrote this. We can only guess, right? And here's what I like to put on the table. I don't think Bill even knew what he was thinking as this big book was written through him. He didn't know the effects of it 89 years later, how profound it's going to be, how impactful it's going to be, what some of the things mean, the experience of people, right? He didn't know it was written through him. So that's why I believe it's broad and roomy. I think about the 24 hours a day ahead. I consider my plans for the day. This is what I do. I used to do this for a while. I literally have a notebook, and I'm sitting and I think contemplation, I pray, and I write the things that I have to do. I just point form. I get to do this, right? And I consider my plan. I consider it for the day. As I write it and I consider it, how do I want to show up here? And I start to pray. I ask God for help. God, do you want me to go to this? I'm a little bit iffy about this one. You want me to go to this appointment? Should I reschedule it? Can you help me be really humble here? Can you detach me from it? I consider, I look at my plans and I consider them. I consider that. That's the way it's come to me to do, right? I know other amazing teachers, decades of sobriety, who I respect and admire, they don't believe it's a to-do list. I don't disagree with them. I'm just saying that's what works for me. Okay? You don't even have to do that. It's all good, right? Beautiful. Okay. I consider my plans for the day. Here's another consideration I do, by the way, just so you know. So I started doing that a couple of years ago. You know that after making the previous paragraph, after making a review, we ask God's forgiveness and inquire what corrective measures should have been done. I look at those corrective measures in the morning. Ask God to give me an opportunity to do them, to help me with them. Maybe I'm going to make an amends to somebody, maybe whatever it is, right? Those corrective measures are part of my considerations for the day. Okay? Just so you know. Okay, perfect. Okay, beautiful. So in thinking, yeah, we did that. In thinking about our day, we may face, as I'm thinking about I may face indecision. Should I do this? Should I not do that? I'm afraid what's going to happen in this. we may not be able to determine which course to take. Beautifully how they lay it out here. Highlight in pink, please. Prayer. Here we ask God for inspiration, intuitive thought, or a decision. That's in pink, please. So as I'm contemplating, meditating, deep thought contemplation, tapped into a higher plane. The contemplation is not how can I be successful here. The contemplation is God, this is what I got going on. I need your help to show up the way you want me to show up. As I'm doing that, I may face indecision. So here's a prayer that I use often. God, can you please give me an inspiration, intuitive thought, or a decision here? And then look what it says after here. Highlight this in yellow. Okay, ready? We relax and take it easy. We don't struggle. We relax and take it easy. We don't struggle. From don't struggle, from the yellow, if you put a curve a line to the bottom, line and arrow to the bottom margin, and write this, if you don't mind, please. This means I don't worry for an answer, period. That's what that means. This means I don't worry for an answer. So I face an indecision, I'm doing my meditation, contemplation, right? And then I come to an indecision, I'm a little bit scared or doubtful about it's something that I'm gonna have to do today, situation that I'm gonna come upon today. I say a prayer and I relax and take it easy. It's not a time for me to try to figure it out. I just leave it alone, I say a prayer and move on to the next. God will show me, he'll show me. Chuck Chamberlain, if you haven't read or if you haven't listened to there's a series of talks. The book was transcribed from a series of, as a weekend talk, series of talks, A New Pair of Glasses. He says in there, at that time, I think he was 19 years sober. Beautiful, Chuck Chamberlain. Oh my God, we talk about spotlight. What an awakened spirit he was. He says, I think he says 19 or 29 years, I forget. For 19 years, I've been praying and expecting an answer. I may be doubtful. I don't know how he's going to show me, but I know it's going to be revealed. I don't worry about that. I've been praying and expecting an answer. Right? Pray, move on. Right? Perfect. Oh, look what it says after. Pink, please. Pink. These are not some promises. We are often surprised how the right answers come after we have tried this for a while. Continue in pink. What used to be a hunch or the occasional inspiration gradually becomes a working part of the mind. Gradually becomes a working part of the mind. By the way, you know how every time, for whatever reason, the Spirit has me reading this, including today, you know how I read these promises? He is talking to me today. What's available is a deeper level of this promise for me today moving forward. That's how I read this. That's why I get excited about it. Because it's true. Okay, so highlight up to working part of the mind in pink. Please circle working part of the mind. Please circle that. Working part of the mind. From the circle, please put a line to the top margin, sort of top left, top left, however you can maneuver the line and arrow. We're going to write some words that's going to a little bit describe better, perhaps, to the new person or to me, working part of the mind. Okay. Inspiration, comma. That's another way to say working part of the mind. My inspiration starts to get strong. Intuition, comma. My intuition starts to get really strong as I practice this. Inspiration, comma, intuition, comma. Sixth sense. They talked about it in the 10th step at the end of it. I am building a relationship with a sixth sense that is beyond my 5 senses. This sixth sense becomes an umbrella over the 5 senses. And then I start to watch and see God show up in my life in amazement, in awe. Sixth sense, comma. Here's another word that describes working part of the mind and all those things. Ready? God consciousness. God consciousness. We just read earlier on page 55, we sort of went to it for a second, right? If with this attitude, it cannot fail, the consciousness of your belief is sure to come to you. Isn't that what we're all sort of looking for in a way, you know? Part of the thing that we're all looking for, maybe the ego, there's nothing wrong with that, but just like that good feeling, I want to feel good. But what that really is that I become conscious of his presence in my life. Consciousness, God consciousness, beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to keep reading. Being still in experience and having just made conscious contact with God, it is not probable that we are going to be inspired at all times. We might pay for this presumption and all sorts of absurd actions and ideas. Right? We've all done this stuff, I'm sure. I don't know, like, you know, when I'm 6 months in and I meet her at the coffee pot in the AA meeting and she's the one, I'm already married with a couple of kids. Yeah, that one. All sorts of absurd actions and ideas, right? We've all done different things, right? But here's the beautiful thing, eh? I never read this as like putting me down. God doesn't need 2 hard terms. It's all part of the path. It's all good, man. And I also read this in a humble way. It reads me in a humble way. Look, of course I'm going to improve and get better, but I'm always scratching the surface. No matter how deep, length of time, depth of experience anybody has, if they are honest and truly awakened, they will tell you exactly the same thing and maybe in a different way. We are always scratching the surface. If I am trying to cultivate a relationship with infinite power and love, no limits, right? I'm always scratching the surface. It's all good, man. So I may not do as much absurd, what does this say? Actions and ideas as much as I did.
Did we lose Ali?
Ali, 1 second. Ali, just one, hold on a second.
Okay. I lost you guys for a second there. Okay, we're good. You guys can hear me? Yes? Okay, thank you, Kuna. I heard you when you said that. So please always, I heard you when you said that. If you see stuff like that happening, just turn off my video for a while. Okay, perfect, beautiful. So I'm gonna go back a little bit. So being still in experience and having just made conscious contact with God, is not probable that we are going to be inspired at all times. No highlights here. We might pay for this presumption, all sorts of absurd actions and ideas. Grab the pink, please, promise. The rest of the paragraph is promise. Nevertheless, we find that our thinking will, as time passes, be more and more on the plane of inspiration. We come to rely upon it. All that in pink, please. We come to rely upon it. Okay. And please grab the pen, circle the second line that you have highlighted. On the left, it says, as time passes. Please circle that. So look what it says. We find that our thinking will, as time passes, be more and more on plane of inspiration. We come to rely upon as time passes, right? This concept of continue, grow for a lifetime as time passes, right? Develop the concept of a two-sided coin for me. Keeps me humble. I'm not have to be perfect. I'm going to keep growing and gets me excited because it's going to continue. It keeps getting better and better and better and better and better. Okay. We come to rely upon it. Please circle the word it. Please put a little arrow to the right there in that space and please write divine influence. That's another way that I look at, we come to rely upon what? I come to rely upon divine influence. I tap into the knowing. Divine influence. Okay, so I had the new person to read those couple of paragraphs and then go back to what it says. And then come back and read the next and then do what it says. Okay, so, okay, beautiful. So next paragraph. We usually conclude this period of meditation. So in case you're wondering why we put the note period of meditation, it came from here. They introduced us to a period of meditation contemplation. We usually conclude this period of meditation with a prayer. Highlight in pink, please highlight this in pink. A prayer that we be shown, highlight in pink, a prayer that we be shown all throughout the day what our next step is to be, is all in pink. That we be given whatever we need to take care of such problems, all in pink. Continue in pink. We ask especially for freedom from self-will and are careful to make no requests for ourselves only. Continue. We may ask for ourselves, however, if others will be helped. End of pink. All prayers. Okay, all prayers. So, well, let's read a little bit. So, all the prayers in the big book that we have touch on these ideas. This could be just a conversation with God. It could be set prayers, whatever, right? So let's continue. No more highlighting. We are careful never to pray for our own selfish ends. Many of us have wasted a lot of time doing that and it doesn't work. You can easily see why. Okay. So I'm not praying for a promotion at work, a Ferrari, a bigger house. You can do it. It just seems to not work. Okay, whatever, right? So, but look what it says in what we highlighted in pink. We ask for ourselves, however, if others will be helped. So through the years that I've had a lot of financial insecurity, however, the last few years, very little fear of financial insecurity because of this path, because of you beautiful people. One of the prayers that's in I pray often, I used to, is, God, if you see fit, could you put me on a career path and a financial situation, whatever you think that I can serve you better and serve my family and others around me better? I am praying because others would be helped. I know in my heart what I'm doing. There's nothing wrong with praying for a job if God sees fit so I can feed my family. Nothing wrong with that, right? Right? Nothing wrong with that. You'll know in your soul what that is, what works and what doesn't work. So, okay, no more highlighting. We are careful never to pray for our own. Okay, we did that. Okay, next paragraph. If circumstances warrant, we ask our wives or friends to join us in morning meditation. Ashley and I used to do that together. We stopped for a while, just if circumstances warrant. But if we belong to a religious denomination which requires a definite morning devotion, we attend to that also. Beautiful, beautiful. If not members of religious bodies, we sometimes select and memorize a few set prayers which emphasize the principles we have been discussing. Okay, so now please circle, memorize a few set prayers. We just read it. Memorize a few set prayers. Circle that, please. Memorize a few set prayers. Circle that, please. From the circle, please put a line to the right margin and then move that line a little bit, just a little up, pointing to the top of the page and put an arrow on top of that. Okay, so and leave it there. To the right margin and then perpendicular up, little arrow. Okay, now let's go back to the beginning of that, the previous paragraph. The pink highlight where it says, a prayer that we be shown all through the day. Do you see that? A prayer, right? We highlighted that. Please circle prayer, circle the word prayer. We highlighted in pink, beginning of the previous paragraph, it says a prayer that we be shown. Circle the word prayer. From the word prayer, bring a line to the right margin and bring it down perpendicular just a little bit, put an arrow. So now you will have a big space between two arrows pointing to each other, right? Okay, perfect. So now look what it says. It says a prayer that we shown throughout the day on these ideas, right? And then it says, or however you want to express this, as long as you express the idea, you may want to memorize a few set prayers which emphasize the principles. Okay, why not the prayers that we do, especially when someone's being introduced to it? To this day, they're staples for me. Okay, so in between, turn the book counterclockwise 90 degrees so the right margin is facing you. In between those two arrows is some empty space. So please write this. Example, steps 3 and 7 prayers. Example, steps 3 and 7 prayers. Step 3 and 7 prayers, okay? Step 3 prayer and step 7 prayer beautifully lays out these ideas that they're talking about. To this day, my prayer staple of prayers, I have a whole bunch of prayers that just grew around me organically, right? But the staple always step 3, step 7, Lord's Prayer, St. Francis prayer. I start to pray for people in my life that I know, a bunch of people, by the AA members that are having a tough time or I have a relationship with, or all family members and their loved ones, the men that I sponsor, the team, this team over here. Anyway, I just start to pray for them. I start to pray. That's part of my prayers. Okay, this is the way I pray this. So it would take a very long time to do individually, right? I say something like this. I say something like, God, if you see fit for the following people, would you please fill their minds, bodies, and souls and spirits with the consciousness of the presence of your love, your health, your abundance. If you see fit, would you please give them knowledge of your love for them and give them the power to carry that out? And I just start to name and picture them. I start to name and picture them. That's how I do it. Okay? That's how I do it. So I do my step prayers and I do that. Okay, perfect. So we got that one. Memorize a few set prayers which emphasize the principle, we're making good time, which emphasize the principles we have been discussing. Highlight in yellow now, please. Here is something for the big bookers that may have missed, because I missed this. Okay, here it goes. Highlight in yellow. There are many helpful books also. Suggestions about these may be obtained from one's priest, minister, or rabbi. Be quick to see where religious people are, right? Make use of what they offer. That's all in yellow, important. That's all in yellow, important. This is the line in this big book, in this 11th step, that opens this book up and just blows it out of the water for me. This line opens this 2-inch book up, makes it a universe of spiritual seeking and potential experiences that I could have. This is the permission that I'm given, that I can go explore. That's why in our Step 11 meeting every Tuesday, we've been doing it for every last 4 years, right? People are free to share about their experiences outside of this book. Not to give a talk on their religion, no, to share about their experiences under the umbrella of the AA 11 Steps AA program. Okay. I'll tell you what's happened for me. God has, like, if God is in the, it's in the bookends of this book, he's too small. Too small. God has, in this treasure map, in order for me to get to, seek, and develop a relationship with the treasure, the Most High, in this treasure map, he tells me, my son, if I'm going to give you, listen carefully, watch, because I'm going to drop breadcrumbs for you. I'm going to call on you. And when your heart says go, don't ignore it. So I've picked up these spiritual breadcrumbs. I've ended up in churches. Not a Christian. Still not a Christian. That's okay. Praying every lunchtime at a church. Making friends with the reverend. Doing a Bible study on the story of book of Matthew, whatever it is, right? Loving it. Loving it. Ended up in synagogues and mosques. Eckhart Tolle and Thomas Merton. Anthony DeMello, Rumi, Hafez, Emmett Fox. Universe of God. Universe of God, right? And I get to see where religious people are, right? What I get to see is that is the same exact path. Nothing new in Alcoholics Anonymous. Let me humble myself. The Spirit has been giving us this message of love and service, and all that there is this moment for millennia. It just happens that the Spirit saw fit That's a selfish, self-centered, active alcoholic that I was. It seems to I get to digest this same message better in the big book along with you guys. That's all. Here's a caveat. Here's the warning. If all there was religion and other paths, I'm not saying they're bad or wrong. Listen, there are some alcoholics and addicts that I've heard that they went to religion and they're good, man. But there doesn't seem to be a movement that has made an impact on our lives that as this Alcoholics Anonymous program. And we're in this program, so we're going to talk about this program. If all we needed was religion, nuns and priests wouldn't be in Alcoholics Anonymous. Monks wouldn't be in Alcoholics Anonymous. Mullahs and rabbis wouldn't be in Alcoholics Anonymous. If that's all I needed. Spiritual teachers doing workshops, weeks and 10-day silent meditations, ashrams wouldn't be in Alcoholics Anonymous. Therefore, what I've been taught, and it's, thank God, I listened. Ali, you can do anything along with AA, never instead of AA. Because I've also seen the other side of it. I've seen friends that were on fire in this program and they just were moved to explore religion, and for whatever reason, they just slowly left Alcoholics Anonymous. And they're dying right now. They're dying right now. Therefore, okay, so let's put a note. So from the yellow, please, if you would please, from the yellow, anywhere there at the last yellow, please put a little line and an arrow to the left margin. Turn the book so the left margin is facing you. We're going to write long ways. There should be a lot of space to write. I put it in 2 long lines, one below the other, one above the other. Please write this. Be open to and explore. Be open to and explore other spiritual / religious teachings, period. That's the first sentence. Be open to and explore other spiritual / religious teachings, period. That's the first sentence. By the way, this cannot be forced. I have to be called. I have opened some books because they came into my spiritual periphery. I opened it, nothing. Closed it, put it on the shelf. 6 months later, it called me. I opened up, I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God, right? Anyways, okay, let's go back. So be open to and explore other spiritual / religious teachings, period. The next sentence, it's about the same size sentence. You can do anything along with, comma. You can do this, I'm suggesting this person I'm taking to the big book, right? You can do anything along with, comma, but not instead of AA. But not instead of AA. So you can do anything along with, comma, but not instead of AA. And because of this beautiful program, see, I've been able to, God has directed me to explore a certain path, and I've come to this path, and I'm able to see clearly what clashes with what I'm doing here and what I can use with what I'm doing here. And I don't no longer throw the baby out with the bathwater. I don't miss the beauty of the trees for the most part, forest for the most part, because of the ugliness of some of these trees. Because guess what? AA has some ugly trees. I've been one of those ugly trees, and I still can be sometimes. Everything along with, but not instead of Alcoholics Anonymous, right? That's why when I'm at an AA meeting, I don't talk Jesus, I don't talk Muhammad, I don't talk Buddha, I don't talk, because a newcomer may have prejudices against that. I may share privately, right? I may share private, somebody asks me, but never to a new person. I ask them to explore. See what moves them. Anyways, that was a side note. So I want to talk about this. We're making good time. I want to talk about this. So why is it that, this is just my opinion, my experience, okay, so take it or leave it. I've contemplated on this a lot the last many years. Why is it that all these beautiful paths, thousands of years deep, our Alcoholics Anonymous program came from a combination of a lot of these, right? Why is it that this program seems to work for alcoholics way more than any other path or religion? Why? Have you ever asked yourself that? I have. I've come up with something. Okay, ready? 2 reasons. 2 steps. In fact, first half of 2 steps. No other program, no other path, no other spiritual path, no other religion has the first half of the first step. We admitted we were powerless over alcohol. I need to identify with a problem. Physical allergy, mental obsession. I'm powerless. That's what makes me an alcoholic. When I take a drink takes me. When I'm sober, I don't want to drink. The brain takes me back to that first drink. First half of the first step. No other religion has it. No other 12-step program has it. Specific to alcohol. That's why there is so many 12-step programs. Because we are effective when we're with people that share the same surface problem. That's why the traditions are in place. These traditions are not exclusive, they're effective. They're effective. I think it's a 3rd tradition, right, Frank? 3rd one, yeah? Desire to stop drinking. Okay, so first half of the first step, no other path has, right? Ready? Here's the other part, why it makes AA effective. The first half of the 12th step. Okay, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of each step, I don't count as part of the 12th step. I count that as a condition. I've had to have a spiritual awakening, right? There are 2 action parts of the 12 steps. Again, take it or leave it, just my opinion, right? First action part is we tried to pass this message on to other alcoholics. And then the other part is practice principles in our affairs, right? That first part, we tried to pass this message on to other alcoholics. No other path has. That's why the AA program works like no other ones, because God knew that this life, for me, the way it seems like a roller coaster sometimes. I keep falling off my seat, falling off the wagon, drinking, and destroying things, right? God knew I need a spiritual seatbelt. And this spiritual seatbelt is made up of all the steps. And the buckle ends of it, the metal part that click, keep me in, is that first step and the 12th step. When my first step, when my 12th step meets your first step, I get to be buckled in and stay on this ride. And it becomes exciting and joyous and free. And then when your 12th step meets my first step, you get to be buckled in. That's why this program, I believe, works better than any other seems to be. Maybe something else will come along. First half of the first step, first half of the 12th step. No other program has it. No other path has it. Right? And other 12-step programs that are effective, their first step is different than us. We know we're powerless over this or that. And then we try to pass this message on to other, right? Anyways, I thought I'd share that with you, whatever that was. I hope it made sense to you. Okay, beautiful. So that's, okay, now, the 3rd part of the 11th step, as we go through the day, we've circled it, please highlight in yellow. As we go through the day, we pause when agitated or doubtful. That's it, just the doubtful, okay? In yellow, please. So as I go through the day, I pause when I'm agitated or doubtful or confused. This practice, it little bit parallels the step 10 practice throughout the day. You know, I watch for my selfishness, dishonesty, and fear. I ask God to remove them. I discuss them with someone immediately, if warranted, make amends quickly, if warranted, but always turn my thoughts to someone I could help. Watch, ask, turn, right? This practice parallels that. I pause when agitated or doubtful. In order to watch, I gotta pause, right? Pause. Grab the pink, please. Ask for the right thought or action. That's a prayer. I pause and I ask. God, I'm confused here. Can you give me the right thought or action? I don't know what to do, God. I'm always praying, by the way. I'm always praying. I'm always asking for help. Without him, I have nothing. Perfect. That's on pink. Okay. Please circle. So this is by this time, there's a little bit more notes, a little bit more unpacking. It's interesting. It's interesting. I mean, by this time, this person is on step 11 and they're practicing, so I think it's useful for them. Please circle the word ask. Please put an arrow on the line to the bottom margin. Please write father/child. It'll make sense at the end of this chapter. Father/child. Circle the word ask. Please put an arrow to the bottom margin, father/. I got this from one of those step studies that I've done over the years. I'm like, oh, that works beautiful. And it's become very effective. Okay. Father/child. Okay. So no more highlighting, nothing. We're reading now. We constantly remind ourselves that we are no longer running the show. Please circle running the show on top on page 88. By the way, I have a work appointment after this. So if you just give me 5 minutes, I'm gonna jump in the car and I have 30 minutes for Q&A and discussion as I'm driving, okay? Frank, are you gonna be able to be here? Thank you, brother, appreciate you, man. Kuna, you could leave, brother, it's fine, thank you so much. Or whoever wants to leave, you can leave, okay? So circle running the show, put a little arrow and a line to the top margin. Please write director/actor, it'll make sense. Director/actor. Director/actor. It says, humbly saying to ourselves many times each day, thy will be done. Please circle thy will be done. Please put another line and arrow to the top margin somewhere. You can try to fit it there. Please write principal/agent. Circle thy will be done. Please, principal/agent. Principal/agent. Okay. So now, on page 88, there's a lot of empty space. Half the page is empty, right? If you could just please come halfway through the empty space, the bottom part of the empty space, and write this note. So there's going to be some space above it where it's still empty, right? So please write note, note, underline colon, note, underline colon. So halfway in the empty space on page 88, note, underline colon. The three concepts of a relationship with God, comma, and we'll talk about it a little bit. The three concepts of a relationship with God, comma, the three concepts of a relationship with God, comma, on PG 62, on page 62, third step decision, comma, on page 62, third step decision, comma, the three concepts of a relationship with God, comma, on page 62, third step decision, comma, put in brackets, now open up a bracket, put in brackets, father, comma, director, comma, principal, close the brackets. So those three relationships. In the third step decision, when we made the third step decision, it says, consider that God is the father, he's the principal, he is the agent. Later on, they say employee, right? So father, comma, director, comma, principal, that in bracket, okay? And the final thing you're gonna write over there, please write, now become a way of life. Now become a way of life. It was suggested to me at the third step decision when I was considering before making my third step prayer that I start to show up to this entity with a humble heart, with a humble spirit, and just try on that God is going to be my director. I'm the actor. God is going to be the father. I am the child. He's going to be the principal. I'm the agent. Now becomes a way of life. Now become a way of life. So when I'm in step 11, where it says, as you go throughout the day, page 87, where it says, we ask for the right thought or action. Ask, father, child, we put the note. I ask my father, man. I ask God. Darius asked me when he needs something. And if he needs it, and I know it's good for him, I didn't understand this till I became a parent, okay? If he needs it, I would bite concrete with my teeth if he needed it. That kind of relationship, that kind of love. When it says, when we highlighted, we'll no longer, remind myself many times, we'll no longer run the show. Well, who runs the show? The director is supposed to run the show, but I'm the actor who tries to be the director, right? Director, actor. See, it becomes a way of life now, where I'm praying for it throughout the day. I'm living that way now. Humbly saying to ourselves many times each day, thy will be done. Well, the principal's will's got to be done. The principal gives me assignments to do. I'm just the agent. So that's what that means. Just interesting. It becomes a way of life later on, as a way of life. Okay. So if you grab the pink, please highlight. We've circled the last circle we did. Thy will be done. This prayers and then promises. Okay. Please highlight in pink. Thy will be done. It's a prayer. Continue highlighting. We are then in much less danger of excitement, fear, anger, worry, self-pity, or foolish decisions. We become much more efficient. We do not tire so easily, for we are not burning up energy foolishly as we did when we were trying to arrange life to suit ourselves. I'm not going to unpack that. It's beautiful, right? It's beautiful. Let's take a time. Like many times each day, I say that. I'm no longer running the show, God. Thy will be done. Your will be done, not mine, God. Can I move myself? We do not tire so easily, for we are not burning up energy foolishly as we did when we were trying to arrange it. There's physical exhaustion, which is such a small part of my exhaustion. And then there's that spiritual, emotional heaviness that drains and sucks the life out of me when I'm trying to run the show. When I want what's happening to not be happening, because I want to be more comfortable. When I believe and I profess that I'm a people pleaser, but really I'm an alley pleaser. I only do things for me. For my own willpower, for my own benefit, unknowingly sometimes. But that's where that fatigue comes from. Because when the spirit's inside, man, these promises. Okay, I'm going to say something, okay? I'm embarrassed to say it, but I'm saying it not from an ego place, okay? So please, just take it for what it is, right? This is what God is doing. Nothing to do with me. Me and my own power, I punch the picture frames in the living room because my wife and I got into a huge fight 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, whenever it was, right? Me and my own power, me, head first, ran into the fridge like a bull. Out of frustration about 9 years ago. Me and my own power, okay? This is what God is doing, okay? A 9-year-old and a 6-month-old, everything that entails. A heavy work life, everything that entails. 15 men that I am active with sponsoring, everything that entails. Many other God's kids calling me and we get to converse about this power, everything that entails. Fellowship of the Spirit conference and everything that entails. The last 4 years, about 15 to 20 workshops, conferences, meetings, and everything that entails. And a beautiful team every time around me, okay? But the point, and you can all say that in your own way, okay? Nothing special being done here. But do you know that when I'm doing this assignment, I'm not tired? I may be physically tired. Do you know that there's a joy inside of me? I have some friends ask me, how is it possible? Do you not have balance? Do you not manage how do you manage your time? God's in the managing business, man. I'm in the showing up business. You know what I mean? And old timers just say, when God has work for you to do, the walls come down. That's it. And we all do that in our own way. I'm just talking because I'm sharing. That's it. Nothing special. I'm not doing anything, man. In fact, all those things, it's an honor that God is helping me get out of me. Why did I say that? Oh, we do not tire so easily. Wow, that was a tangent. Okay, come back. Okay. The shortest paragraph in this book, I think it is, because the big book technicians tell me, highlight in pink. It works. It really does. No joke. In case you're wondering, it works. It really does. Pink, promise. Okay, last paragraph, no highlighting. We alcoholics are undisciplined, so we let God discipline us in the simple way that we have just outlined. So we are undisciplined. I let God discipline me. Look, in the simple way, they just outlined such a simple way. The discipline. By the way, I forgot to share this. So, after my period of contemplation and prayers and stuff like that, and then I've been called to do a whole bunch of other things. These days, it's just been silence. Silence. Oof. There is something in the silence, man. There's something in the silence. Spiritual reading, silence. So whatever else I do, that I move to do outside, any kind of meditation modalities outside of the contemplation, I put under the umbrella, be quick to see whether people are right, spiritual people are right. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that I do. Okay, anyways, come on. Undisciplined. So we let God discipline, simple way we have just outlined. Man, I don't know. I've been having trouble with prayer and meditation. I just can't put this. Well, let's open the big book together again. Let's revisit it. They're going to outline a simple way which we can build a practice to. Right? Very simple. Just open the big book. That's it. Do what it says. Okay. Highlighting yellow, please. But this is not all. There's action and more action. Faith without works is dead. That's in yellow. But this is not all. There's action and more action. Faith without works is dead. That's in yellow. Important. Just like every other step or action, promise, action, problem, action, solution, promise. Faith without works is that. Keep going. Keep going. There's action and more action. Faith without works is that. No more yellow. The last sentence says the next chapter is entirely devoted to step 12. Okay. So now from the yellow, please, we have a little space below now, right? We have a little space below where the paragraph ends, right? Please put an arrow and a line to the space right below. And please write this. The miracles of step 11. The miracles of step 11. Check this out. This is the whole point of this workshop. This is the whole purpose of life. The miracles of step 11 are truly experienced. Are truly experienced. When I get off my knees, that means that's a symbolism for prayer, right? When I get off my knees and carry this message to other alcoholics. That's what we're doing here. The miracles of step 11 are truly experienced when I get off my knees and carry this message to other alcoholics. That's what gives this path, this life, meaning and purpose. That's the reason why the valleys in life, they become source of treasure. That's why with the shipwrecks in life, they become source of treasure. With the ruins in life, my treasures have always been found in ruins. Why? Because of a desire to pass this message on to other alcoholics. And from that flows practice principles in my affairs. The miracles of step 11 are truly experienced when I get off my knees and carry this message to other alcoholics. I gotta remember why I'm doing this work. I'm not praying and meditating in a lotus position, whatever. Like I do that sometimes, but like I'm not doing that so I can tell you how much I pray and meditate. I used to do that. I started to get sick. Lord, make me a channel. Make me a channel. For me to be a channel, there's going to be a flow of this loving energy, this river flowing through me. And it has to flow through me into the lives of others. If I have developed a step 11 practice, so I can be acknowledged constantly, so I can share it in a very tactfully derogatory way that other people aren't doing it the way I'm doing it. By the way, I'm not talking to you, I'm talking about me, I'm talking about me, things that I've done, okay? You know, this channel, this river starts to get blocked by degree of stuff. Need for acknowledgement, need for approval, need to be right, feeling better than, feeling, right? And this beautiful flow of God energy, it starts to become a swamp and gets stuck inside of me, and it starts to stink. It starts to stink of somebody who's standing on a spiritual hilltop talking down on people, professing all the things that he's doing, but he's really not doing them. The only reason he's professing it all the time to the degree that he is because he's really not doing it. He feels like a fraud at home inside, wanting to kill himself. I don't know if you relate to this at all or at different times in your path. But by the way, and I'm not even saying that in a derogatory way. It's all sacred. If it wasn't for the pain of that, there wouldn't be no transparency of this. You know what I mean? It's all sacred. So the next step is devoted entirely to step 12. We're going to, the next 2 sessions, try to cover as quickly as we can this chapter. And then Q&As and talks and whatever we'll do. I love you guys. Thank you very much. It's always my intention to just have you guys share too, but just sometimes because lack of time. So please forgive me for that. Kuna, thank you so much. We're gonna end prayer, and then Mickey's gonna end. And then it's just, if you just give me 5 minutes, please, I'm gonna run to the car, and then 30 minutes we can have a Q&A while I get to my work appointment. Thank you guys. Appreciate you.